Hello, guys. This time I checked. I'm unmuted. We're ready for game 3, guys. Hokori versus Epulze Kings. One final match, the decider for everything. Hokori, Duster, you spoke about this earlier, so I want to touch on this strategy. Do you think that Hokori should try to face Mini's Monkey King again and try to beat it again?
For sure. Like the first game, they had such a beautiful draft. Honestly, I want them to be creative like that again and just focus doing a bit more. He doesn't have the biggest hero pool, so.
Okay. Alice, in your case, would you agree with that assessment? Do you have a different strategy in mind for Hokori?
I agree. I mean, it's a way to go. I think they can just focus on doing his hero pool, which is not that high because he's kind of a relative new player to the role. I think it's an easier way of doing it instead of just banning all these mid heroes. Since he plays so many heroes, just let him play any hero and just play against it. It's at the end of the day, it's just a hero. It doesn't really matter that much. But if you can actually make someone feel uncomfortable by banning like 1 or 2 heroes, then that's a lot more valuable than just banning 1 of 20 heroes that somebody can play.
Would you still get rid of the Invoker, though? Situation?
I mean, Invoker just suits the way they want to play, right? They want to run at you,
Right.
but I feel like Invoker can be exposed really hard. There's like a lot of heroes that Analog can play. I think their carry also just plays some carries that are good against Invoker. Like they can just pick Void. Void just shits on that hero really hard. But I'm not sure. I feel like they're going to let the Monkey King through because they beat it in the first game, right? So they might just play against it again.
Were you sold, Duster, on the Zeus as when the second game or the second show about Hokori? Because the first time against Thunder, you were like a bit on the fence now. But were you sold with the build and everything on the Zeus? Would you like the Analog to see it again?
It makes perfect sense. Like
Right.
he gets so tanky, he has infinite mana already, so he just kills so well. Like he becomes unstoppable Zeus, not this scared Zeus spamming Nimbus from far away. He can actually teamfight much better.
Yeah, the Kai and Sanj has been a staple. He's the only Zeus I've seen pick up Kai and Sanj's first item. Against Thunder Awaken, he was leading the fights, which is wild. He would go in the fight first and not die as Zeus, because he had like 2.8k HP or so by the end. So kind of a very interesting Analog playstyle. And there we go. Hokori bans the Invoker, but the second ban is the real decider, guys. I'm excited for the second ban.
10 seconds remaining.
Yep.
5 seconds remaining.
Hey, you talk about how Alacrity kind of buffs his whole hero pool, right? Every single hero Benny plays, except for the Kunkka, which he's also pretty good at. Could have also, if you're Apu though, and you're gonna play the Monkey King draft again, or that kind of draft, would you change the carry in that matchup, Alice? Or would you like to deviate away from the gyrocopter into something a bit more meta?
Radiant team.
Yeah, I don't really. Oh, so they banned the monkey.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, hopefully they don't pick the Gyro without IO again. So they can first pick Doings here. They can just first pick Mars here, right? If they really want to. I feel like they should. They should either pick Mars or Sand King. The other team's gonna get the other one, right? The thing is, that Coddle's in the pool. Do they want to take Coddle? No. Just first pick Sand King. It's probably a Coddle plus Mars now.
Dire team pick.
Tied.
Radiant
Okay.
team pick.
Completely different strategy, and they're gonna combine this with a Shadow Shaman as well.
Alright. They did something completely different. I think it's good.
Yeah.
Good change of pace.
What is the strengths of these two heroes with this combo as a starter, Alice?
So in the lane, you can gush people, and since Shaman has such high base
10
damage,
seconds
it's really good.
remaining.
Like it's a nice combo. Also in the game, Tide gives you the team
5
fight. He doesn't really
seconds
have crowd control, and Shaman gives you that. So they kind of complement each other really well with the control. They don't really do that much damage, but you can get damage from other sources. You just damage from your mid and carry. So it's a pretty stable opener. I would like them not to flex his Tide to 5. I feel like the 5 Tide is just a liability.
Right. Yeah, you have mentioned that with the Mars as well. I love that you always say with Hokori, like, please don't do this crazy thing that I've seen you do before.
Yeah, because they were crazy. They do some crazy things. Like, hopefully the Brood doesn't show up in this draft out of nowhere.
What about the other side, Duster? Sand King Weaver. Is that as strong an opener as the Coddle? With the Sand King?
Dire team back.
Yes. In case the audience is ever doubtful of Duster's words, he praised someone for playing Weaver. You will rarely see that, so that's how good Hani is on the Weaver. It's not just a hero, like he really does understand the map very well, and that's why the last patch he was doing so well, actually, because they would first pick Weaver every single time, if Trinity was not available. We'll see how they force this. They get rid of the anti-mage and Bane, so they're protecting the Sand King to a degree.
They should ban the Undying here, because all the times Hokori did this opening, they went for the Undying 15. If they did their homework, it's a decent ban.
What do they do afterwards? What was the purpose of their draft? Like a faster draft with strong lanes?
The Undying just buffs your team fight even more,
Mm-hmm.
and Tombstone is just a ridiculous broken spell right now.
Mm-hmm.
And you set up for a range core, you set up for an easy lane, so you're gonna have two strong side lanes with the Tidehunter Shaman and the Undying +1.
Lovely. We'll see if Apu is aware of this. Very good insight, Duster.
Yeah, I usually just give flames.
Usually what?
I usually just flame people.
You usually just flame the Undying, to be honest. So, the fact that you're suggesting it is crazy. The evolution of you as a panelist has been incredible today.
I've been watching this hero win too much Dota, man. It bothers me, but at one point I have to accept it's a good hero.
Are you playing it now? Have you started playing it again?
Not yet. I'm still not in that phase. I'm slowly accepting the idea for now. Eventually I'll try out.
when Astini takes out the stick, right? He's gonna force you to play that.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Until Astini forces, I'm probably not gonna play.
The most honest answer from a pro here. The Queen of Pain is banned instead. That is a hero that Analog does love to play, so also getting rid of the comfort a bit. But the Undying is now in the pool for Hokori. By the way, Lilith, if you pick up, if you pick up a Titan Shadow, are you looking for a tempo draft as well, or can this go late as well and is fine with these two heroes?
Usually with these heroes, you don't really play for tempo that much. You kind of want to group up. I mean, now with the Undying, it just shows that they just want a 5-man everywhere, right? Just 5-man the objectives. So,
what cores
they
go
don't
well
have
with this?
to play. They don't have to play like super fast, where they just 5-man every tower. They can also just farm for a little bit. It's also hard just to run into Hokori. Just have insane teamfight right now. They can play both. They usually farm a little bit, and then they go ham at like 20-25 minutes.
Okay. And how do you deal with this as Apu? What's the strategy to deal with this, like death ball almost?
So you either match the team fight, which is not what they're doing right now. They took the Tiny. Okay. I'm not sure if I like this Tiny pick, because I feel like Undying is one of the better heroes against Tiny. Also, I think the slow from the ult kind of ruins Tiny, and the zombies are also kind of annoying. At least Tiny has a buff. He's one of the better buffs, the Ogre. Because he's slow and he hits slow. It's okay. I don't really mind it, because they see the offlane, right? Tiny's really good against Tide, because he buys Silver Edge and just kills him instantly. And he kind of just has an okay lane against Tide. I guess they don't really care about the Undying match that much. At the end of the day, it's just a 5. Maybe you kill the Undying before the fight even starts. So I can see it being fine. They can't really pick they can pick Necro, but it's gonna have to go mid. And then a mid Necro is just different than a Necro that lanes against Tiny. Or like FNL, right?
Yeah. Duster, though, last game you said that they kind of had to survive the lanes. This time the lanes are stronger, but they still have this timing they have to hit with a Tiny. Do you feel like it's going to be similar to that game, where they have to survive the first 20-25 minutes until Tiny comes online?
Yeah, even though Tiny can fight early, you still want him to get his as many items as possible.
Yeah.
Like his Echo Saber, the Silver Edge to kill Tide. But their lane is for sure a bit stronger this game, and they have a buff for Tiny. They're fine. Easier to survive.
What do you think of the CK now?
5 seconds remaining.
Wow, it makes things a bit harder. I'm not sure how good is Undying CK lane. It's both melee heroes against Sand King. I'm not how the one that play out. Probably Lely's know it better.
I mean, I think if they play it right, they'll shit on this guy. They'll shit on the Sand King.
Okay.
They're just gonna go on him level 1. He's gonna die. He's gonna have like 300 HP. Like Weaver's gonna have to pull the wave and do some weird stuff. And Weaver's also
10 seconds.
Weaver's not one of the heroes that wants to stack, right? This hero's kind of slow, doesn't really buy boots, and she doesn't want to
5
leave the lane to go
seconds
stack. So the Sand King stack abuse thing won't really be a thing that much. I'm not sure if he actually stacks on Weaver in the other games, but if he goes to stack, they're not even going to be able to lane that much. And then this, I'm actually surprised to see them pick CK into Tiny. I feel like the Tiny's very happy to play against CK. He just cleaves down all the illusions. He has a bunch of armor. He doesn't really care if CK goes on him. He just avalanches all the illusions at the same time and just double slaps him with the Echo Saber. Just kills everything instantly. I don't know. Maybe they won the first game with this hero and they think the hero's just broken against everything, which is the case. The hero's very strong right now, but I'm surprised to see them actually pick this into the Tiny. I think Tiny's super happy with the way the draft is going.
I actually saw this earlier in Western Europe where they tried to pick it up against. It was with Coddle, to be fair, but they did try to pick up against a Tiny, and it kind of worked okay. Like, surprisingly, clearing the illusions didn't matter as much as CK being able to always pull the Tiny in the wrong position and stunning him constantly, right? Obviously, that's with Chakra Magic, so it's a bit different. But it was like a 60-40 matchup. Like, Tiny is slightly favored, but not that bad, right?
5 seconds.
At least from what I saw there. So that's just the take on Western Europe. And it was also picked into the Tiny.
Yeah, Hokori has an insane team fight. It's kind of hard for this Tiny to walk in and fight. If he gets Ravaged, he might just die in the Ravage because they have no save, and they do have Sand King Epicenter, but it's very different than a Tide Ravage. The Ravage is much more AoE control. Tiny might be a little bit scared to go in first.
10 seconds.
What will be the final piece of the puzzle then? Would you like to have another team fight combo for Hokori? Or something that opens up the map for them, maybe?
I feel like now Hokori needs they need a hero that does damage from mid, and that can go. Like, I would think Quab would be great, Bat Rider, but those heroes got banned. I feel like they benefit a lot from having damage. Like, this Shaman hero is basically only control, right? And he's tower push. And Undying is team fight and group up, so you kind of want a little bit more damage. Tide just doesn't really give you the damage for these like small skirmishes in the jungle and pickoffs. I wouldn't even mind like a Zeus pick again, because they have two Invis heroes. Tiny's a high strength HP hero.
Oh. You guys try out the Coddle mid.
Spicy.
Right? Interesting. I've never seen them play this. I've never seen many play Coddle mid.
I guess he's expanding his hero pool.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
10 seconds.
Duster, what do you think Hokori would need now, seeing this Coddle as well?
5 seconds remaining.
Also, I think the Zeus will be great here, but probably any other spirit, maybe Ember Spirit or something like a Void Spirit, just to follow up the Shaman, Zabo, and do some damage.
Choose
Yeah.
your hero.
Ember also has one of the best lanes against the Coddle mid, as much as you can have a good lane against this hero. So, he survives it. And it's gonna be Coddle
Free
mid.
game for Ember, I feel like.
Okay. Why so?
Pretty. I think this hero is one of the better heroes against Coddle. I think Chains is super annoying for Coddle, and he can also just spirit around and farm the waves and be annoying. And Coddle, he doesn't really have a stun, right? He's gonna slow him, but he's gonna sort of remnant out, and he's gonna waste time. And I think the Ember just deals really well with Weaver. I think Chains is really good against that hero. And he can just set the tempo against the Tiny. He can run in and make the game really annoying for Tiny.
Are you gonna go for Hokori one last time then?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Hokori.
All right. Loyal to a fault, Duster. What are you gonna decide this time?
It's much easier to play their draft. I'm not really sold on this Coddle mid. First time we see, Mini can impress us, but again, Ember does so well. This Light of Fee is going to be so annoying for Coddle. He's going to be constantly low HP and not being able to fight really well or do Coddle things. So I'm going to go with Hokori.
Okay. Well, it's going to be the first time we get to see a Coddle mid in SA, at least in Div 1. I don't know if they've played it in Div 2. Very exciting. Mini bringing out a pocket strat for this final game of the series. Will this work out for them, or will the Ember just triumph over the Coddle? We're going to have to see as we go over to our casters, Gareth and Lacoste.
Yeah, here we are. Coddle mid for the first time in SA, and honestly, he's got a lot on his plate. Lacoste, I see Undying, I see Shadow Shaman, I see this CK and Ember. There's so much stuff on the ground, tentacles from Tidehunter flying around. It's difficult to match the team fight.
I wanted to make a joke. If we check the chat, the Keeper of the Light, he disconnected. And I wanted to say, you know, he disconnected to check what 9 built on mid-coddle, just to make sure one last time. And then someone writes...
Dota 2 Pro Tracker.
Yeah. And then someone writes, Gareth, good luck 9 on Brazil.
Well, they know. I mean, this Cottle mid is very fast at farming, but how does he do against Ember Spirit in the lane? The panel seemed to think it's Ember Spirit just spamming Sleight of Fist on him non-stop.
Does well. I don't think he gets even close. He shouts out the wave. He can farm the small camp as well. This hero, 10 minutes in, most farm hero in the game for sure. No one can match this farm, especially if they make some kind of stacks for him. He can farm Radiant, like these bottom near the tier 2 tower. Like he can farm those 2 camps. That's how Blast good is. By Blast, I mean Illuminate. Just overall strong
Bottle
hero.
Blast.
Yeah, it's 9 in the interview, when we did interview with him, talked about how Spirit Vessel is imbalanced on the hero. I guess he was referring to Solar Bind, removing the magic resistance, and then Spirit Vessel dealing a ton of damage, and also getting like online relatively quickly. You get it so fast. There's a lot of heroes that don't like to play into Spirit Vessel. A lot of these tanky heroes reducing the healing. This game, not so much. In particular, I would say Soul Rip is whatever. CK does tend to get more lifesteal from the Chaos Strike, but still feels like a really good item to have no matter what you're playing into. Spirit Vessel just feels like a really good item.
Yeah, just lets you keep on chasing people down, like, you know, Soul Bind on Ember Spirit. You know, maybe he can slight, maybe he's already got a Remnant out.
He doesn't like to play into Solar Bind. This is his like arch nemesis, I would say. Like he can't get the Remnant out. Yeah, pretty much.
Can't bloody move. But we have got everyone back in the lobby, it looks like, so it should be getting underway shortly. As we get ourselves out to these lanes, we've got, of course, Mini on that Cottle mid. Ogre for Seram with Benny Tiny. As Dunya picks up that Sand King again, had a spectacular one previously, and it's the double bug lane. He's paired up with the Weaver. But Weaver Sand King against CK Undying. That's nasty.
It is. Also, Sand King, he's a Scorpion. He's not technically a bug, right?
Sure. I don't know what the definition of bug is anymore. He's an insect, though, isn't he?
It has like something specific.
I think a bug. I think a bug is an insect that bites you with wings. Like if it tries to suck.
And scorpions, shut up, Gary, are not insects, but instead belong to class of animals known as
arachnids.
Yeah, that's it. That's the word I was looking for. The pronunciation.
Yeah, they are arachnids, aren't they? Invertebrate arachnids. Ooh, Hokori, high ground vision. Up we go. There's a staircase waiting for you, but they decide.
Yeah. When you say you have arachnophobia, does that also mean you're technically afraid of scorpions? I guess so, yeah.
Seram. That's a nice burst strike back in towards Gardic and Yuma. They do have Dunya all trapped inside, and with the damage they've got, they should be able to. They should be able to. No, they can't. They can't chase the Sand King. Now it's Seram and Jupiter. Yes, Gardic finally gets the job done, diving under that tier 2 tower, and a big 3-man decay. Gives them another 200 HP, basically, and they're continuing to battle as that Sleight of Fist bounces on all of them, but they lose the Chaos Knight in the midst of it all. A 2 for 2. Cottle dead.
They're still not done.
Can I get Theo? Ignite in 5. Tree Toss Shikuchi. They don't really have much in the way of stuns, but they can slow him with another Ignite, and yeah, Weaver closes that gap nicely, gets up on the high ground, and will whittle away at Theo Lacoste. Shadow Shaman, but he's under tower, and he popped that big stick.
Well, Weaver needed to go for body block instead. Get in front of Shaman, slow him down, get some extra right clicks from Tiny. Tiny TP's back to bottom lane. Who got the first blood? Was it...
No idea.
That was...
Gardic.
Chaos.
Killed the Sand King.
He did. He was the first one that got the kill. Keeper of the Light Illuminate didn't connect on all 4. It was so close, but only hit 2 heroes. This is the most spell damage you can do at the early levels. 2-9. Up lane, getting the 2-man Burrow Strike. This is going to be a lot of trouble, especially since Sand King was forced to get the Burrow Strike level 1. I don't think he would get it. Maybe he would. It's a tough one. Undying does get on top of you, and if you have Caustic, he just like right clicks you down. CK uses a stun on you, so you can probably also die if you have Caustic. Sanking level 1 is really odd hero where you like want to have all your abilities kind of, especially against certain matchups, but nothing feels too good.
We'll see what he goes into next, but so far it is two teams chucking the kitchen sinks at each other. Burst strikes out of two heroes top. Got Ogre chasing Shadow Shaman bot, giving the good old ignite. Gareth is still facing off 1v2 against these two top laners for the Radiant. Does have the swarm on him. Wants the two-man decay, but the burst strike. Now Chaos Bolt, Gardic with a soul rip. He's hit level 2, so he turns back onto Dunya. Yuma with some good damage. They pop the dust on him to make sure the sandstorm won't save him, but it looks like Yuma is struggling to finish off this Sand King. There is another burrow in a second, and Chaos Knight has to retreat.
A bit prolonged teamfight. Undying did have Magic Stick because he got the first blood. Look at the amount of regen that he has. Tangos, Mangoes, Clarities, Healing Salve, Just Popped on CK. Whatever you need, he has it. Checking the mid one. Yeah, Mini farming the small camp. And also, once you get Illuminate to level 2, you one-shot the range creep. It's exactly 300 damage. So you don't care too much about getting too close to Ember Spirit. We see Flame Guard on, but that doesn't do much. The overwhelming damage coming out from the Coddle at these early stages. Has Boots of Speed now. Is going to try to stack for himself.
Oh man, both side lanes are going at it, dude. Dunya, he's dead up top. Gardic, very low. Bottom lane, we're having a scrap as well, but it's the Weaver that's been stunned up under a sentry ward. Shikuchi's ready with a stick as well. Gardic, he's not dying to that melee creep, not today. And bottom lane, we saw Benny and Seram playing very forward onto Lacoste, dropping him low. But a massive Radiant wave now arriving at that dire tier 1 means Vitaly can soak up all that lovely experience and gold.
You need to stop fake hyping the side lanes, Gary. We need to check the mid lane. Coddle,
Okay, look at mid.
He stacked
Oh, the range creep.
Yeah, he stacked everything.
Oh, so he has.
Pushes out the wave and goes for the stack. Let's see if he farms the small camp after that. He will. Doesn't one-shot it. A bold foreman, too strong of a creep. Too powerful.
Jupiter. Finally getting a bit of revenge on that top lane. 2-0-2 Weaver clearing out the small camp after killing the Undying. But yeah, these stacks, you can see Kotal now standing near them. He's going to get another round of stacking going. Medium and large camp built up. While in the mid lane proper, Analog and Theo spotted out by Seram's Ogre. Still had 400 HP. Not a kill they can easily claim.
Theo will set up a vision so they can see and rotate when Keeper will be farming those stacks. They don't have the best heroes to rotate. Shadow Shaman very sluggish. Ember is probably their best option.
And Tide doesn't really want to leave this lane right now. He's in a 1v1 against a melee hero. And it is Tiny. And Tiny's going to be farming nicely. At least Vitaly has that ring of health. Keep himself in the lane. Oh, 2 sentries from Seram, missing that our observer that you mentioned.
Oh,
he has to come back
Analog's
down bottom.
Doing a very good job. He pulled the creep wave between tier 1 and tier 2 towers so that Coddle doesn't get it. And now Coddle is forced to get jungle, so he can't. I mean, he can do it only once in a while. He can't like keep doing that. Keeper of the Light. Gonna go back to mid lane. Another stack for him. Going Boots of Travel first item. I don't know about that one, Chief. I feel like it's a bit too greedy.
It's an interesting choice, but I guess if you do look at this Hokori side and understand the overwhelming team fight they have as they show it off up top. A tombstone and a slight fist. Analog's rotation, looking for Dunya. Gardic soul ripping his tombstone to keep it alive just a second longer so they can actually get onto this Weaver and finish him off. Under the dire sentry just long enough. Good rotation out from Analog's Ember Spirit.
Good rotation. They got. He gets one last hit for himself. He gets another assist. Keeper of the Light just continues to farm the jungle. The reason why I said I don't know about the Boots of Travel is your Tiny like needs to come online. You need to be able to give him some time so he's not going to be participating in fights until at least 15 minutes. Your Sanking's having a rough time, so your mid laner needs to do like something. He needs to be able to deal some kind of damage. Ember Spirit's having a free time in terms of CSing. Coral does have 60 CS, Ember 37, but if we swap their net worth, they're neck and neck. Yeah.
Absolutely are. Oh, another stun mid Shikuchi. But he got the D ward. Gardic has to re-sentry that top lane and re-gank top lane. Analog, no searing chains, just maxed out slight. They want to go on this Sand King again, and look at that physical damage just shredding through Dunya. Yumo with a Chaos Sport from long range might be able to keep on chasing with Analog there. They absolutely can. Under the tier 1 tower, and the Flame Guard will tickle him down.
Mid lane is empty. No one is in mid lane. This is really awkward. These are free creeps, free experience, full waves. Problem is they also... Tidehunter didn't finish off Hood. I think if he gets the Hood, he becomes very unkillable for a long period of time and just like a stick. But he's going for the face boots.
Okay.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Oh, they're contesting these stacks. Kotal's cleared most of them out.
They put down 2 observer wards just to scout it out.
One of them got de-warded already. Jupiter once more feeling the wrath of that Chaos Knight, but they found Mini in that jungle where the disables from Theolacor makes it easy for Analog. Can now TP home and jump back out to these lanes. Things going well for Hokori.
It is. Keeper of the Light not providing much at the moment. And this is the hero that you can't really die on. Because if they get ahead and we see the rotations from Hokori...
Yeah, just throw the Tombstone down, catch the Ogre with the Shackles, and Jupiter's Weaver trying to take that Tombstone out does get the job done. But the fact that Hokori have shut down the Sand King, now shut down that Keeper of the Light, feels like they're in a great spot, while also not losing out too much. Like the Tidehunter is doing very well, trading evenly with the Tiny. And a lot of it comes down to this Analog Ember Spirit. 3 rotations top. And now he wants to give a bit of a shakedown bottom. Vitaly doesn't get the Ravage off. Dies just a split second before he could release those tentacles, but it does mean the dominating streak is picked up by Ember on that Ogre.
That's why I said Hood. He's going for a bit more greedy build. Boots of Speed also. I don't think there's anything he needs to run away from. His job is pretty much be annoying in the lane, try to force a rotation, get the Ravage off if they get on top of you. Gardic on a mid lane is going to drop. We will get the first charge on Earn.
Yeah.
Maybe they... Like, I see what Keeper of the Light is trying to go for. Silence.
Try and catch the Ember.
Yeah, you it's also a damage item. You as a Keeper of the Light don't get too close to the fight. You want to keep the distance because you don't have any escape mechanism.
You're also squishy as all hell. A bottle refill for Analog. So again, just being enabled by his team to stay on the map and keep playing as aggressively as he wants. Well, Chaos Knight evacuates top lane. Finally a bit of breathing room for Dunya. That's going to be... oh, Vitaly. He took that bottom tier 1 tower, sure, but he has to Ravage now into the 3 of them, trying to get a kill on Weaver before dying himself. Doesn't succeed.
That's a wasted Ravage. Ooh.
But look at Roshan, hey? Tombstone plus Serpent Wards. The spam the ground with units strat is coming into full force.
Analog will pick it up. There's nothing they can do about it. They're scouting out Sanking. Ooh, man, he's having a rough time. And this is what we talk about when we mention Sanking. He's having a really bad lane, so he needs to farm these Ancients. He needs to be able to get somehow in the game. I wouldn't mind seeing him epicenter the Ancients, but this also means you're stealing away some farm from Tiny. So now they have 3 heroes that want to be in the jungle, pretty much.
Yeah, getting very congested and crowded in those jungle spots on the Radiant side. Whereas you have Theolacor stacking Dire top jungle. Looks like Gardic can also stack the triangle for them while they're playing all 3 lanes. Free and open movement for Hokori. Benny going to hold out on mid as he's 500 gold away from Echo Saber. Doesn't really want to show on bottom. That's going to be Mini's haunt now.
That Roshan dropped so quickly. Undying Flesh Golem works from Roshan, and they have like the holy trinity of Roshan takers. There's no TA, no Templar Assassin, but Flesh Golem works well. Chaos Strike now deals 1.5 damage to creeps. Roshan is a creep, and same goes for Mass Serpent Wards.
It's like CK wasn't even there, was he? They just needed
No,
the
he
two
wasn't there.
supports, and
But just for
that
the
was
second
enough.
Roche, like all it takes is to get one kill, and they can transition that into Roche. Second
Sure.
did farm this big stack, and this is getting him closer to the Blink Dagger. Needs 500 gold to finish it.
Yeah, in the past 2 minutes, he's picked up a good 1,200 gold or so. I saw him finish Tranquil's Soul Ring, and he had about 400 gold saved. Analog. He's chasing down Sarem Zoga. Again, you may look tanky. You're a big body. But against all of this Hokori damage, you do not last long. On top, it looks like they're trying to eye up Dunya here. They've got Dust on Theo. Serpent Wards for the tower. Dust onto Sand King. Burst Strike does clip onto the Shadow Shaman, but the Hex stops the epicenter. Now Mini has to try and give chase, and Blinding Light will push them back. Vitali with Ravage available. Might be thinking about popping it and turning to fight them, because Analog's arrived and a TP in from Undying has come. But the backup. I don't want to get embroiled in one of these long duration team fights. Turn back onto the Weaver instead, but an elusive target to catch.
Coddle's still not committing for an item. Just has Boots of Travel, 1 Null, and Windlace.
There you gone. There you gone. There you gone.
I wouldn't mind seeing Dagon. I think that's a legit build on Coddle.
Yep. Sure as hell is. Yeah, holding 3 grand though. Very curious to see what he goes next. Well, so far, they've not really been able to trouble Yuma too much. He's been able to Phantasm, clear out bot wave, farm back in the jungle. And now it looks like they're going to group up for a smoke and maybe try to play around as Vitali Ravage aggressively for once. Not use it defensively. So yeah, mid-tier 1. Going to be the angle they take. CK bringing up the rear as his Echo Saber just got delivered. With Aegis for another minute and a half, of course, Analog. And play in behind that tier 1. Scout people out with Sleight of Fist. Try and see where that Sand King is, because Blink Dagger is there in his inventory, but that move, right? Cancel Blink, hold the Sand King. Teamfight initiation is out the window if SK can't jump.
Tide even pops could before, just in case. They want to jump right now so that he's 100% sure the Ravage goes off.
Oh, Mini bought the Orchid.
Is done. This Aegis kind of messing up with their timing. This is not something they expected. Full Maelstrom done on Ember Spirit. And if he reveals this Orchid, what he can do is disassemble his mithril.
Solarbind, Orchid, Dead Shadow Shaman. I don't think Mini needed any help. He could have done that solo.
What I wanted to say is he could have potentially like disassembled Maelstrom when he saw the Orchid reveal and just keep Javelin plus Mithril Hammer, get a BKB.
Yuma tried to TP out of this. He wasn't expecting the blink stun from Dunya and the secondary silence from Mini. TPs came in too slowly from Hokori. 2 quick kills in a row for Apu King of Kings.
Ooh, that was close. If they get the silence on him, he probably dies. There's also Tiny in vicinity. So yeah, Ember needs to get a BKB. That's what his next item needs to be. They have nothing that goes through magic immunity. He's gonna be fine. Some right clicks from Tiny is all he needs to be aware of.
Oh, Dunya's out of the bottom lane as well. They just can't catch a break. Hokori are looking, testing the limits of this Apu King of Kings side. But a dead even game still. Now maybe with Analog arriving, forces the time lapse. But look at that speedy chicken. Sprinting away. Rod of Athos is there for Jupiter as well as that ability just to hold them back. Make sure no further disables come.
It's the problem with Shaman when you're playing into Weaver. If Weaver gets Shikuchi off at the same time you're about to Hex, because in most of the situation you initiate with Hex instead of Shackles, because it's a better disable, like they can't stop it. but against Weaver, you need to get shackles.
Absolutely do. Or you need to get that flame guard on him. Analog there. Finally dealing with the bug.
And
This
now
has been
Mini.
a good 16 minutes for Benny, though, right? Tiny's catching up slowly but surely.
He's getting the items a bit slower than usual, I would say, on Tiny. But Sanking did farm his stacks.
Theo with a ward trap. He's caught Mini out. Cottle thought he could kill Analog. Theo Lacoste is going to pop his wand. Gets the dust back onto the Sand King. Now Gardic and Analog can swing back in with a tombstone and a hex. They've got Dunya trapped up.
Analog having a really good time in this game. I'm not sure if they're gonna get value out of Orchid compared to some other items, because there will be BKBs, double BKB timing on Hokori's cores. Yeah, it's gonna be a bit tough, and he needs to be close. That's my problem with the item, because he needs to get close to be able to cast it, and then puts himself in a spot where he can get jumped by Shaman, jumped by Chaos Knight, Tidehunter going also for a Blink Dagger. So that's gonna be another form of initiation for them. How's Shaman doing? He does have Ether Lens, Hex maxed out, so is Shackles going for more control build, which I like, especially if the game's not going well for you. Having that Ether Shock maxed out kind of forces you to play a bit of a different game, where you want to clear the wave, putting yourself in a spot where you're vulnerable to ganks. But if you play like more control type of a Shaman, which I think is the correct play here, he's playing into
Theo died to this.
heroes.
Basically. Oh, jeez. Jupiter's there with a swarm and an urn on him. Saram also joining the party. Very good vision from Apple King of Kings. Saw that all coming. Then you feel the rest of the map, though, the way it's flowing towards Radiant's side. Mid and bot pushed out. Tide has Blink Dagger now with Ravage ready. Really, we should see this Hokori side, group up, try and play this 5-man strat again, get the death ball going. I think it was Lella's saying that 20, 25 minutes, that's the real window, the period of strength that Hokori want to show and flex. Apu King of Kings sticking together up top, trying to match it with a jump in from Dunya. The epicenter is good damage onto Analog and Gardic. They're going to bring the Undying down. The Rod of Atos catches the Ember Spirit as well. The focus onto Analog, it's done. 2 huge kills for Apple King of Kings. Now the Serpent Ward have trapped Serum inside, but who cares? It's an Ogre. Don't care about Ogre. Now Theo, he's in an awkward spot.
Ooh, if they can scout out Roche, that'd be pretty big. I think they would have enough damage, but they're
It's
not
a
done.
Yuma.
Ravage connects on 2.
Vitality's trying to save him, and he does allow Yuma to get the damage out, but now they're surrounded. 3v2, in comes Benny, whacking away at Yuma. Chaos Knight can't match up against this Benny. Tiny and Vitali got to get himself back to the base, cowering.
Big fight for Apu King of Kings. They do get CK, they do get Ember pre-BKB. This next Roche, it's gonna decide quite a lot. The Tiny does have a shard right now. He's also a Silver Edge fighter, so breaking the Tidehunter, that's one way to kill him, but it will also need a BKB, I'd say, before he gets that. Serum will die.
He will again. Hokori reclaiming that outpost.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
What's the situation on the 60 seconds on Serpent Wards, a minute and a half for Ravage, and Tombstone, well, it is ready again. But it feels so bad when you're using all these big long cooldown ultis and still losing the fight in the end, knowing that if you were the ones playing forward onto objectives, setting up for fights on your own terms, you'd probably come out ahead. It's come down to who gets the jump first, who finds those initiations. Sand King perfectly show that off. Burrow onto probably the best 2 targets, right? Burrowing Ember and Undying before they can get off Tombstone or cast a Slight or a Remnant. It's huge.
Yeah, he got a really good 2-man burrow off. Going into BKB. Sanking this game, like both off-laners are kind of struggling. Ember was off to a really good start. He died once, and that kind of killed his aim. And now he needs a BKB to fight. That's the big problem.
Oh, the scan, the high ground vision. Weaver has to time-lapse back, but that's Tombstone down now. Apu King of Kings can reset, recalibrate, think about how they want to approach this Roshan. Top lane is pushing in towards Dire. Would love to go and get this mid-tier 1, though. 7 health remains on the Dire mid-tier 1. Ogre.
Weaver, do your job. If he
Or-
had
or
time
Weaver,
lapse,
yeah.
I would say, you know, go for it, but this is a bit dangerous. Still can do it.
Must be so tempting for Theolocore there. Standing, thinking about denying. Do I do it? Do I not? Do we need to... No? Yeah, just wait. See if they come to us. There's the deny. Weaver scouting Roshan, so they all know what the next move has to be. That's good for the Radiant now that mid tower's gone, so they can actually deal with the mid waves. No longer have that weird standoff where someone has to shove mid before they can contest Roche. And the catch on bottom. Analog stunned, chain disabled. He can't get away, or maybe he can not do it. He didn't get a remnant out. And Roshan for Dire. Now they've shown 3 heroes bottom. Up at King of Kings, they've got a long migration up towards Roche. The Swarm will scout. The Serpent Wards, they're down in the pit. I'm dying. That's his ulti off. Tombstone's already in there.
No, man, this is dying so quickly.
They can't get in there fast enough. Dunya has to make the move. Burrow strike in. Roshan down. Aegis on the ground. Where is it? The Ravage is thrown out there. The Serpent Wards are doing so much damage on Yuma. Finally picks up the Aegis. Oh, that was close. Sirem dragged back in with the Reality Rift. Mini BKB'd up. Gets the Orchid out. But Ogre slapped down by this Chaos Knight while they'll look for the third one. Jupiter gives a triple kill to Yuma.
I don't think they could have like fully commit to it, knowing that there are Serpent Wards and a Tombstone inside of it. Sanking did snatch Shard, but I think he had a hard time clicking the ground because there were
couldn't
Serpent
see
Wards.
anything.
Yeah, he couldn't see where it was. So CK in the end picks it up. Man, what a game. Well, what a weird game.
Yeah, I mean, it's still like dead even net worth, pretty dead even kills wise, but this ebb and flow back and forth between the two has very much been down to who sees a core first. Do we jump Burrow Strike your core, or do we get the Blink Ravage or the Hex onto one of yours, like the Cottle or the Tiny? So Vision is king. Right now, 4 Observer Wards, 2 from each team around the Roshan pit. They do see the Dire squad all moving around. This is where Gareth comes into play to de-ward one of them. Benny
Light has his BKB finished, going into Yash Kaya, which means probably it's going to be an E-Blade just to have that extra burst damage. This is probably the first BKB I've seen on Cottle. We don't see the hero too much, but with the item build, what he wants to do, I just get close, doesn't die during the Ravage, has something to protect himself against Shaman as well, but needs to repop it.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Yeah, it's a curious one. And back to farming we go. Benny wants to finish off that Echo Saber again after disassembling it for his BKB, which has yet to be used. But now we get into this cycling of ultimates. Dire team nearly have everything ready again. Ravage is the only real one they're waiting for, and that's 20 seconds away. So they can prep themselves, get some tier 2s with Serpent Wards, look for the mid tier 2 with a threat of the Ravage. And this massive CK holding Aegis. While Radiant, they've just got to dip, duck, dive away. Push that bottom lane, get the dead lane out of there. Try and find farm a little bit deeper on the map like Weaver's doing.
550 move speed on Keeper of the Light with Bloodlust and Spirit form.
Very nice. He's a speedy old fella. He attacks pretty quickly as well.
Radiant's top tower.
Oh, Yuma.
145 attack damage, not too bad.
2-man burrow. Benny's hitting into Yuma CK. He's got BKB when he comes back up. Analog and Vitali still trying to spring this fight, but the Tombstone down and the 2-man chains. They've dragged the Tiny back into the waiting arms of Analog. Killing Benny, who's on the sidelines now for 50 seconds, as he spent all his cash on finishing that Echo Saber again. I've got a Hex and Shackles as well. Jupiter's caught by Theolocore. He was defending his courier, I think. I don't know if they got the damage to finish him. Yeah, time-lapse and Shikuchi away. While back in towards the mid lane, the epicenter on top of Yuma clears up the CK. Serem battling now with Analog. The Tombstone has been dealt with. Guarding. tracking back to try and deal with Jupiter, and Dunya does get taken down by Analog at long last.
What is going on in this game,
don't
Gary? And
know.
while all this is happening, Mini
Dire are
farms
scanning.
bottom lane. He pushes the tower as Keeper of the Light, gets some right clicks going. Still didn't want to join the fight, has boots of travel. I think he needed to be there. I think the team needs him. He is a lot of net worth for the team. We're going to see the initiation on Shadow Shaman. Shaman's straight up dead.
Dire's bottom
A
tower
solo kill. Oh, Cottle does a lot of damage.
570 damage with Kaya amplification.
Plus the soul burn from the Orchid as well, right? It's another 30%
Yes.
of damage. Some spooky stuff. Oh, now we're in that weird vacuum of the game where we don't have Aegis anymore. The Dire team still probably feel pretty strong about their team fight and their ultimates. But objective-wise, there's a tier 2 bottom they can go for. I just don't feel they're ready to go high ground just yet. Unless they win a team fight convincingly in, like, the Radiant Triangle, for example. And buyback-wise, well, Tide and Ogre have them. And everyone is really focusing on finishing out these big items they need.
Vitali
Prestige,
did get a lot of
funny.
farm. He does have full Aghanim Scepter on Tide, which synergizes nicely with all of their heroes. The minus armor, like the Serpent Wars deal more damage, especially when paired up with Sleight of Fist. So this is gonna hurt. They can like poke and prod from long distance. And going into Refresher, like he does have 2,000 gold saved up.
Hey, he's flush with cash. Hey, what is that? Gush plus Orb of Corrosion, Sleight of Fist plus Phantasm Illusions? Yeah, you're right. There's zombies as well. We do have Gardic with that Helm of the Dominator again. Have you seen him pick up a Harpy creep yet? What's he after?
He's scouting. He finds it. There it is. Game over. Bloodlust that creep.
Well, that Serem has it. So Ogre has a helm and Undying has a helm.
So they
They're
can
both
they can steal it from each other. Those things are very hard to
Radiant's
find on the
bottom
map.
tower is under attack.
They may as well be
Because usually
invisible.
they're like somewhere on top, hiding on some kind of cliffs,
Inaccessible terrain.
pretty much. Serum does have one right now, but I don't see Hokori's
Radiant's
Harpy
bottom
Scout.
tower has fallen.
Yeah, Gardic is roaming around the jungle looking for it, screaming at his teammates to stop killing harpies. And Theo's killing small camp to make sure they can try and spawn one as well.
These are endangered species. We gotta protect them at all cost.
Preserve and protect the harpy species. Start a breeding program between the two
Dire's
zoos.
top tower is under attack.
Oh,
We
King of
need
Kings.
two of those. Like we need two of those together. Maybe that's what they're doing.
Dota's Ark. Get on the Ark 2x2. I don't know if it would work for harpies though. Harpies are female naturally, aren't they? Maybe they self-reproduce. Maybe you just need one of them. I don't know how harpies reproduce.
I think harpies lay
Harpies
eggs.
aren't real.
No, harpies lay eggs, but not sure how it comes to that. Well, what are the other harpies in the camp? Because one's Harpy Scout, the other is called what? Harpy
No
Harpy
idea.
something.
Stormbender or something probably.
Stormcrafter, yeah, something
Oh,
like
it's a
that.
Stormcrafter?
It might be.
I think that's a
I couldn't
Satyr
find
called a
any on the map.
Stormcrafter.
They killed all of them.
Mind Stealer. I think it might be Storm. No, I don't know. I think in most mythology, harpies are depicted as female. I'm sure Avo has a very strong opinion on this. He'll know exactly how harpies reproduce. He'll tell us in the post-game panel, that's for damn sure. He's on
And-
Wikipedia right now trying to figure out. Well, they
He
got a
stole
harpy,
it.
they got a high ground tombstone, they got a stun in, and they've got a big catch here. The crits out from CK kill. The Yoga.
Gardic puts down Tombstone just to get vision, and then steals the Harpy. Is this what Dota has
Got
become?
him. Oh my goodness. Ooh. What's this? A root on a tide? I think he cares that much. Yeah, they're playing hot potato with a harpy.
Keeper of
2
the
minutes
Light.
20 for Roshan.
It Ethereal Blade, Solar Bind, that's a lot of magic amplification going into what seems to be Octarine Core next. Spirit Form duration, almost permanent now. The Deshiro talents are also insane. It's just so good.
That's spectacular. I mean, the fact that Sanking also has a Kaya doing so much magic damage, and that's going to be amped up by this Kotl. Now, the dance of death around Roshan. It's a long wait. Both teams itching to do something before he spawns, so they can go and claim his prizes.
He
Vitaly
blinks away. He also does have a gem. If they break him, he's straight up dead. If Tiny gets the combo off into another blast from Ogre, he dies.
Refresher orbs delivered to him. Radiant scan right on top of the Dire.
He's a little bit low on mana.
He doesn't have double ravage, does he? He's only got the one. And there's the blink burrow. In we go straight away towards Yuma, but the CK pops his BKB and Dunya's already dead, demolished by the Chaos Knight. Well, Benny whacks away at the illusions, clears the Phantasm, but now he's in a spot of bother as the Remnant jumps over towards the Tiny. 2 cores killed, and Sarem, sure, has finished off the Tombstone, but Yuma comes out of that with a double kill.
It feels like the story of this game is whoever has Harpy Scout.
Scouty?
Yeah, they have better vision, and then they can get the better jump in the fights. And whoever gets the jump pretty much wins. Now put it inside the Roche pit. Oh, bugs on it. Harpy Scout.
Don't let it touch him, bugs! Ooh.
They saved it.
Tide, the savior. Save the
For a
Harpy, save the
second,
world.
I thought it's gonna turn into stone form. For some reason, I thought this was a visage bird. Like, okay, it's dropping low. Better use it. Better not lose it.
Heal back up to full.
Courier has been killed.
Weaver causing some issues up top, trying to cut waves and all that. Realizes he's no longer welcome up there.
Dire's bottom tower.
Roshan seconds away from spawning, but Appa Kings should all be alive in time to contest it. The big question is going to be, will Mini come to help his squad? Will they be fast enough? It doesn't look like it.
Dire's bottom tower.
Hokori makes sure this is a speedy Roshan. Tombstone and Serpent Wards in there. Aghanim Scepter, Cheese, and Aegis spill on the floor.
Dire's bottom tower has fallen.
So we've got
Free
Cheese on
Aghanim
side.
Scepter. So that's gonna be the one on CK. Extra illusion and also creating the illusions of your allies. So can create a lot of confusion as well, where you just blink initiate on someone. And it's
As
also
if there
great
wasn't
way-
enough already.
Yeah, it's also just like you can go in and end the game with all these illusions if you win the fight with it. It causes a little bit of lag, still, I believe.
So now we've got Tombstone with the zombies, Serpent Wards, Tide Ravage, Phantasm plus Phantasm Ags. This is going to be nonsense. Sleight of Fist and Remnants bouncing around. Weaver Bugs. There's going to be a lot on our screens.
Tide
Alpha
has
Kings.
full mana now, so he will have enough mana for both Ravages. Refresher's still not ready. If he feels like he needs a bit more mana, can give Gem to someone else, but I think he is afraid of getting initiated on by Tiny. So that's why he's keeping it.
Yeah, doesn't want to get tagged by that Silver Edge. Especially since Tiny has the Titan Sliver now. So Ogre's picked up a Wild Wing to split push and keep bottom out. The Dire have the Harpy, giving so much vision.
Who has Harpy wins. That's how it is.
As simple as that. Yeah, the map gets incredibly small and dark now for the Radiant. No outer vision. No outpost. And CK, well, he starts on the Tiny, forces Dunya to react. Will-O-Wisp is there from the Kotl, but look how quickly this Sand King is falling. Now the Phantasm and the jump back in towards Dunya. Oh, the BKB from Sand King gives him a little bit of space and breathing room to burrow to the high ground, but the Ravage, in comes one and the second one as well. Vitaly sets up the kill onto Benny. Theolocal will buy back as they pretty much know the Tiny has no buyback and they want to go high ground to finish this one off.
Good initiation. Tide understands, like, I need to go in. We're gonna pop double Ravage on Tiny. They did use Theo, who is buying back. They still have Aegis for next 2 minutes and 40 seconds. Keeper of the Light, very annoying to push into.
Sanking back in. He's popped the Aegis, but Analog's going to be able to clear him up, and he's going to have to buy back on the Sanking now for sure to defend this tier 3 mid. Serpent Ward's going to work. The Bloodlusted Tower, though. A massive tower just wailing away.
Where's Harpy
Good with a
Scout?
wisp.
That's what I want to see.
I don't know. It's disappeared. It doesn't look like Hokori are able to actually finish this one off with their heroes going up high ground. The Serpent Wards don't kill the tower. 30 seconds for Tiny now.
They might need to just kill tower and go back. 20 seconds until Tiny, no Ravage.
There's Tomb. They've got Phantasm too. Tidehunter, he's made the move straight in towards Sirem, and there's the lag out from the Phantasm, but a great jump in from Dunya. That Epicenter kills off the Theo buyback Shadow Shaman. Dunya needs to retreat though, as Analog gets himself out of that mid lane as quickly as he possibly can. So both dire supports falling for the tier 3 to be claimed.
Hasted Keeper of the Light, like they couldn't jump him. Mini didn't die for a long time, I think. He's just keeping the distance and blasting from really far away. Meanwhile, on the bottom lane, they had catapults pushing in. Tower almost died. They took 2,000 HP off it.
That Wildwing, man. The Ogre's Wildwing pushed that lane all the way out. No longer exists, though. Right, we need to see these Helm creeps. Who are we going to get? What we're going to find? Any Harpy? All the camps are cleared. Everyone's so efficiently farming. There are no bloody creeps to take with the Helm.
They're trying to find those creeps. That's what everyone's trying to figure out where it is. Ping your position 5. Get it.
Jupiter's pinging small camp. Don't block this. Don't farm it. Let the Harpies spawn.
Serum's on the mission. Tide does have Eon Disc, which will give him a little bit more mana. He sold his wand. So that means that they can't just straight up kill him. Timeless Relic. Ooh, Keeper of the Light.
Oh my god, no. He doesn't need a spider. He's got max move speed, right? He doesn't need a spider legs.
I don't know why he's holding onto spider legs.
Away they go. And now the Timeless Relic. It's not just spell damage, but that debuff duration. Solar Bind plus the Blinding Light.
Everything. And he's getting closer to level 25. I want to see which talent he picks up. Both are good. Illuminate damage means more Illuminate heal. But also Blinding Light stun. That feels like a better choice, having an AoE stun.
Especially against like Phantasm Illusions.
Yes, for sure.
Makes your life so much easier. Hokori not feeling as bold as they were a few minutes ago when they had Aegis in hand. Now considering their options, do we want to breach mid again? Do we want to go for Rax? It feels like the same old story we've been saying for the past 20 minutes. Everybody wants that one bit of vision, that one jump, the team fight to start on their terms, in their favor, where they can kill a core, force a buyback, and then think about progressing from there.
Hokori's ready to fight. They do have a double Ravage. Scan connect, so they know something's cooking in a triangle.
Never refuse gold given.
They do get some vision down. So Radiant have triangle warded, as well as their own high ground. Dire with a low ground observer just outside of that mid lane. Tier 4 items coming. Radiant all maxed out. Dire just got their last one, which is the Flicker. CK holding Trickster's Cloak and Ninja Gear. Stormcrafter on Ember Spirit feels pretty damn nice.
Having
Ascetics cap on Sand
yeah,
King.
you don't need to like go for BKB to be able to dispel things, because there is no Lotus Orb on their side. So removing the Silence or E-Blade could make a lot of difference.
Yeah.
Keeper of the Light is level 25. He's still thinking left or right.
Well, he's gone all right so far. You can't break the trend now.
Yeah, you're right. And he's also right.
Keep the aesthetic going. Well, now he's got even more time to think. That's what he's paused for. Look, Minnie's paused it.
He's checking. He's googling.
Dota 2 Pro
9
Tracker
Keeper
again.
of the Light, Dota 2. Level 25. Did he reach level 25 in any of the games? I don't remember. I think those games end pretty quickly when he plays it.
Yeah. End of like 25 minutes.
I'm not even kidding. I'm not even kidding. He might be checking.
Oh, we've got a Harpy. Lacoste, we have a Harpy.
Where is
Serem.
it?
Top lane.
You got it.
Yeah, it is. Harpy Stormcrafter is the small one.
Needs the Bloodlust.
It's the big one, sorry. Yeah, Bloodlust, that creep. Helm 4 staff on the Ogre. Somehow he's getting farm priority over Benny.
I think you go for
All-time.
Blinding Light Stun, especially because you picked up the Timeless Relic. So 20% to debuff duration. Extra 20% on 1.2. That's 1.4, almost 1.5. So
Impressive.
very good, very good. Like, we would love to round up the numbers.
Just keep rounding up. It's basically 2 seconds of stun.
A bit more, yeah.
A bit more than 2. Well, you round up to 3.
Yeah, that's why I rounded up to 3. 1.4, you know, which one, where do you want to round it up? 1.5, right? You can't say it's 2.
Why not? This is basically 2 seconds. if it's 1.5, you just round it up to 2. And if
He
it's
immediately, like, after he unpauses, he immediately goes for
really?
the Illuminate damage. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna do the same thing.
2. What do you mean? You're gonna pause the game? You're gonna pause
I'm
the
not
game
gonna
now?
pause the game. You're gonna keep talking, and I'm gonna be checking things.
Yeah, just figure out how to play your hero as you're playing it. 40 minutes into the game. Oh, dearie me.
Because there's a lot of Coddle games. They do play it as position 4 as well.
You have to filter through, figure out who was core and who was not.
Yeah.
What do we got here? Weaver has a BKB. 9-second duration ready. Tiny. What's he got? Anything new? 4,000 gold saved up. Looks like he wants to try and grab a Hyperstone.
Radiant are scanning.
Outside of that, not seeing too much in terms of item progression. Cottle had that Ags for a while. Octarine Core is not too far away. We do have Ags and nearly a Shiver's Guard on the Ember Spirit. And 10 heroes smoked as Roshan Fast Spawn is here. A minute and a half until he actually appears. And both squads wanting to play under their vision. Oh, Dire swinging south. Don't want to break the smoke.
Keeper of the
Considering
Light,
their options.
with that Illuminate damage, with Spell Amp, is almost 800, 780.
He insta-clears creep waves. They just disappear. Well, both smokes come to an end. A DD rune spawns bottom for Dire, though. That could be the difference maker. 1 minute for Roshan, and he didn't bottle it. He straight up grabbed it, so Arcane DD are going on the Ember.
You would definitely love to have that for a bit later. Instant smoke. They want to use this DD. 2 Sleight of Fist charges.
Whose Harpy is this? Radiant Harpy is up patrolling, but they got the Blink Ravage. The catch onto Dunya. Dead for 2 minutes.
That
Knowing
was
that he
quick.
spent his buyback. They were so speedy snapping into that move. They were a little indecisive 30 seconds ago whether they wanted to go bottom, through mid, into the Radiant Triangle, but then when they do decide, they are quick to act. And they know that mid lane is already open. Tier 3 has gone. So with the Ember Spirit moving forward, and the Serpent Ward's out, they'll Phantasm up, trying to break the buildings.
Radiant's middle barracks are under
What's the defense for this? Will-O-Wisp and Blinding Light, it's annoying, but it's not going to stop the damage from the Serpent Wards. Dire can just
gonna
sit
be
back
the
and
setup
relax.
barracks. They just poking with Slight, those illusions. If they want to repeat that, they can do it, but they can also take down Roche. Sanking does not have buyback for 30 seconds, so this Roshan dies immediately. We saw 3 times so far how fast it died. Has another Aghanim Scepter. Who do you give it to? Like, you might give it to Shaman, because he doesn't have it, or you might give it to Undying. I think you give it to Shaman for this kind of siege.
I think so. Yeah, they are relying on these Serpent Wards to kill the buildings. There it is, Shaman with the Ags. Refresher over on the Ember Spirit. I wondered for a second if maybe we'd get the good old triple Ravage on Tide, but no. We'll get the refresh on those Remnants. The double BKB on Ember, much more important.
He doesn't have enough mana. 3 Ravagers, that's exactly 1,000, and Refresher, he does have. Yeah, you got the point. BKB is much more valuable, I'd say, and refreshing the Remnants as well. Also, like, this Ember Spirit might, like, just shoot, like, 15 Remnants in the next fight with Refresher and refreshing with Shard. Also having Ags on top of it.
That feels so good for the Ember. All those charge-based heroes. I'm going to refresh a Shard. Oh, Mini back to doing mini things. Ninja Gear allows him to be much more offensive with his split pushing. That bottom lane tier 3 is potentially going to fall. Hokori. Maybe I need to step up and do something about it. I don't want to send a hero back to defend, but Ember Spirit could potentially, Remnant, TP, jump back into the action.
The cast range on Keeper of the Light is insane. Has Octarine Core, has extra 375 from his Spirit form, which is almost permanent.
At this point, what's next for him? Does he consider selling Orchid for like a Hex?
Either E-Blade, no. He needs to get Aghanim Scepter upgrade, but for now, just keeping the buyback. And either Hex or Dagon 5 is the build.
Yeah. He's got that E-Blade, Ags, Octarine. Clearing out that top wave, so the push for now slowed, but not halted, because Theo Lacoste is wandering over, making his way towards the high ground. New creep wave coming. Do you glyph this creep wave knowing Illuminate's coming? Well, it's a little short.
Go with the Serpent Wards and Tombstone. That's what they're doing.
Now, no, still no glyph. Catapult's dead. Radiant glyphed up this tower, doing some serious damage.
Look at this siege. Will-O-Wisp on top of them to keep them in place. But the damage from Gush, Wards, Tombstone, they're respecting it.
I mean, Benny's pushed bottom tier 3. He's forced Analog to come down here and defend as they try and get in with Vitali ravaging, but not really connecting. Jupiter had that BKB and now a double damage rune allows him to dish some right clicks out. Benny.
Deeping for Benny.
BKB TP.
Nothing that goes through Magic Immunity, and now they need to strike. No Shaman. Let's go.
Catch Yuma. Aegis is in his hands. The E-Blade and the magic damage is coming though. And Jupiter. Shikuchi straight over him. Now, Phantasm BKB time. CK needs to get it off. The Blink Ravage Vitali will give him a bit of space here for the BKB to come out. The Will-O-Wisp is annoying, and Yuma's damage substantial. Now Phantasm. Yuma needs to pick a target, but the Invis BKB Sand King blinks away. Dodging out of this dire team. They still get him in the trees as he tried to TP. Buybacks available on Sand King, though, as now Analog's onto Mini. Doesn't have his magic immunity anymore, and he's dragged into that CK's Rift.
Shaman is back into the fight. They still have Remnants, they still have Refresher on Ember Spirit. If they want to give Refresher to Tidehunter and try to reinitiate, finally they killed the Coddle. Coddle was causing a lot of pain and issues, lasting from so far away that they couldn't even jump him. First Ravage was misused, didn't hit anything. This is a long duration Ravage with level 25 talent. It's a 3.8 second stun. And also he has Arcane Blink, so it's much easier to execute for him. And also debuff amplification, so that's not 3.8, that's a lot more.
Benny? Oh, Benny. He takes out Gardic. Tombstone's on the ground now, but the Serpent Wards are making short work of these buildings. Sand King wants to epicenter blink the silence onto the Ember Spirit, but he's got that Stormcrafter and the Remnant to jump to.
That's all they need to do. Keep doing that. Whenever you have Ravage and Refresher, get the Mega Creeps and to try to repeat it one more time. They got the good usage of the Aegis. There is no Refresher. Did they pop it? I mean, they could have also given Refresher to Shaman. I wouldn't mind seeing that, because he's also one of the heroes that does benefit a lot from it, especially with these type of games where you're going like all in. He's getting closer to level 20, and yeah, I think there's nothing to break this game. Nothing you're really afraid of. So Serpent Ward's max HP sounds better.
Yeah, just keep him up for longer. Now, only one lane to defend, but about 20 seconds ago we saw a line on the map drawn. Undying called this move perfectly. He drew the line from Radiant Base into Dire Triangle. Hokori 100% expect this move. They know this move is coming. And that's why there's no one farming Triangle. No one at Ancients. In mid lane, Yuma and Vitali hiding behind their tier 2. So very good read from Gardic, understanding what the move would be from Apu King of Kings.
You were right. Keeper of the Light sold that Orchid. Not much value out of it, especially with the Dispel items, the tier 4s, and bought a full Hex. He needed to get big item, because there is no buyback on him. Just understands, okay, I just need to get something done with my gold. Next Roshan may respawn in 2 minutes. I think for Hokori, they don't need to rush things.
It's kind of interesting what Gardic just did. He moved bottom, placed a tombstone, then TP to the outpost, straight away to group with the rest of his team. All gathered around their outpost. They've got the Ravagers ready with a refresher. Is anybody holding a smoke? Undying, considering it. Radiant scan bottom, so Dunya looks like he's going to plant himself in the trees. Split push out that bottom wave.
Shaman did buy refresher for himself. Problem is, like, you know where they're gonna strike. You know how they're gonna approach this. Maybe for Hokori, if they have a smoke, is to try to go through the mid lane. Creeps on the top are very close to the base. That doesn't mean they won the game. You know,
oh, look at Yuma
still playing into Coddle and Tiny. These heroes are very easy to deal with the mega creeps.
Yuma's such a good spot to be in. He pings out that high ground saying, let's come in from behind them, and now Analog. He remnants over the great burst strike from Dunya. The avalanche toss. Benny finds Analog. The Sanking sets it up wonderfully, but the buyback BKB allows this remnanting Ember Spirit to rejoin and kill the Coddle under the Serpent Wards, while Benny invis Shore. Oh, no reveal. They don't have the gem nearby. The Tide might be able to spot him on the way back. He sees him. Does he go for him? Gush and Blink with that Anchor Smash. And Benny is going to get tracked back on here. The Remnant towards him. Vitali and Analog. They found the Tiny. Coddle dead for 100. No Weaver for 80. Buyback status not looking good for the Radiant team.
Tidehunter refreshes immediately, runs down to the bottom lane. Tiny needs to buy back a minute and a half. No Keeper of the Light and no buyback on Weaver. He spent all his gold on Aghanim Scepter, but yeah, this is gonna be 3 versus 5.
Serpent Wards out. Tombstone ready in 5 seconds. Benny does have a swift blink, but it is a tough proposition for him to 1v5 this kind of squad. Assault Cuirass, Skadi on Chaos Knight.
Another
no
Phantasm, ready in 4.
Sure is. Shadow Shaman doesn't have Serpent Wards, but like you're saying, there's the Phantasm to go for the tier 4s. Mega Creeps now activated as well as the buildings not standing a chance against Hokori's onslaught, and now the jump with the Reality Rip, forcing Eon Disc out of Dunya. Benny, he's got some big hits onto Theo. Yuma and Analog want the rejoin though, with a Ravage from Vitali clipping onto Benny. They've dragged him back. The E-Blade is there, but the magic damage comes through from Analog. They couldn't save the Tiny. Dunya will catch onto Gardic now, but Analog and Yuma too powerful. And Radiant, not enough heroes to withstand this pressure. Benny's out of there. The game's over. Hokori went 2-1.
Oh, they disconnect without even saying GG on Tiny. I mean, that's when, you know, feelings are hurt. Good performance by Hokori in game 3. Like, they went for a really sneaky way of sieging. They have Aghanims on Tide. They drop it on the ground. Serpent Wards, Tombstone. CK picked up the Aghanims, poking with slight chains just to try to buy a bit more time. In the end, Keeper of the Light loses. I'd say, you know, decent performance overall, but today Hokori was a bit better in terms of the execution. And yeah, this draft, It's very annoying to play into, not just at the early stages of the game, but we've seen also when it comes down to the late game with the talents and everything. Undying gets the tombstone on death on level 20. There's another tombstone. Just there's so much random stuff. Like, there's so much damage coming out of nowhere. Shard from Ember Spirit, CK illusions, just very, very difficult to deal with.
Yeah, and towards the end of the game, a lot of their cores underfarmed in comparison to their opponents. Like CK at the end, 41k net worth. Compare that to the Tiny's 27. Really is a drastic difference between them. But I think also Keeper of the Light, when you give him 614 last hits, Kotl has 30,000 net worth, and he does the same amount of damage in that game as the Tidehunter, for example. You kind of expect that gold to damage to be a bit higher for him. Do you think this is down to Mini's itemization or inexperience on the hero potentially?
Well, definitely, I think you need to practice the hero. I'm not sure like how much experience he does have in terms of playing it, especially in competitive matches when it matters. This was like a game 3 when it really mattered, but looked okay. I'm not a Kotl expert, hard to judge. I only have like small sample size I can get the info from, and that's basically 9 who plays the Keeper of the Light on a mid lane. But he builds a bit of a different items. I'm not saying this is right or wrong. I just feel they have more success with it. Yeah.
I mean, also pointing out that Vitaly there, 3 kills, 2 assists, 3 kills, 2 deaths, 22 assists. Barely died. I was just looking at the death timers. Sand King spent 8 minutes of the game dead. Tide spent less than a minute dead. Tide, very tanky and difficult to deal with, but played incredibly well. As Hokori, they wrap things up with a 2-1 victory. Back to Avo and the boys.
Thank you, Gareth. Appreciate you sharing the last stat. 3 kills, 2 deaths, 22 assists. I wonder why you shared that stat specifically, Gareth. We had a fantastic game here by Hokori, honestly. And we kind of Hokori showed what you guys kept saying, particularly you, Lillis, who were loyal to a fault with them the whole time. You said they were the better team, and I think it kind of showed towards his last game. What are some of the things they talk about the mini Kotl? Were you also a bit disappointed with the mini Kotl? Did you find that it was not like the Kotl experience you were expecting from him?
Yeah, I don't think he's ever played it, right? I think it's the first game he's played it in competitive. So, wait, am I muted? I am muted. Okay.
It's okay. We take turns at this point.
Yeah,
it's fine.
So I think it was the first time he was playing it, right? So I didn't really expect amazing him to do like best call in the world. I think he did okay, but I think they just didn't get the ball rolling enough with this hero. Because with Kotl, I think you want to be like destroying the game, killing people left and right. It didn't really get to that point. It felt like he just accumulated in net worth and didn't really pressure that much because the game was just pretty even, right? The whole game. Yep. They had a slight advantage, like 2k first 10 minutes or something, but it wasn't like 5k or something substantial for them to just snowball the game.
Duster, we've had this conversation a lot about the Kotl, but you say that it's not just the Kotl player that needs to be used to it, it's the whole team. Did you find the team was making good use of the Kotl in this game, or did you also find that was a bit lackluster?
No, for sure, they needed to snowball more. It was a bit lackluster. Like, I feel like the whole team is like comfortable when Mini is with them, fighting with them, not split pushing this much. I felt like they probably missed Mini and his initiation, his damage, and his follow-up all the time because he was always split pushing and just broke the way they used to play, I feel.
What about the Hokori in this case? We talked about the matchup of CK versus Tiny. Did you... Listen, did your mind change ever so slightly? Did you find the CK to be actually quite strong against Tiny that game? Because I thought, it was a pretty impressive performance. Or was it just the Tide?
Yeah, the way I think about it is that Radiant doesn't really have the team fight to beat Dire, right? So the longer the game goes, the harder the game gets. It's just impossible to run into them. You could see at the Roche fight, they would just drop everything in the pit, right? They just drop wards in the tomb, just like, come and fight us. So you just can't, right? And they went there and they lost the fight. So it's the same thing they did with the high ground, right? They just dropped a bunch of shit on the high ground and then they just took the towers. And that's inevitably what happens when you just have better team fight later. The later the game goes, the harder it just gets to win. Because Radiant has a snowball league draft. The game got dragged out because they have Kotl, but I didn't really feel like they were in control of the game ever. They were just like waiting to lose. I couldn't really see a timing where they're like, okay, now we can win the game. Tiny was always with this threat of being double ravaged, right? It was just way too hard to run into the 5-mana Hokori.
Is there ever an itemization route that you can do to mitigate that team fight, or was this too much an overwhelming difference?
I don't think items can fix it. It's more like a tempo of the game. If you're
Okay.
10k ahead and the enemy has better team fight, maybe you're just overwhelmingly stronger than the enemy, right?
Right.
But when the game is even, it's just way too hard.
Alright. Would you say, Duster, there that it ended up being a little bit of the draft, a little bit of the gameplay, or was it more one side than the other?
I would say Hokori played it better. It ended up being a big vision war and who initiates first and better, and Hokori did it a lot better. I feel like Dunya was a bit off in his initiations, but if you don't know how to play position 5 in this meta, you should definitely check out this series. Both Gardic and Seren did like awesome job with these creeps. It was very fun to watch. It been battling, stealing creeps on each other, giving vision, but Hokori just used the vision better, I feel.
Gardic has been kind of the unsung or the sung hero of this whole best of 3. You started out by pointing out how beautiful his draft was. I think you're kind of liking him. He's getting the level of panda when you speak about him. You have a lot of regard for him, right, Duster?
Yeah, doesn't mean I'm their best friends, but I respect their work for sure.
Yes, that's not what I was implying. I'm sorry. Duster doesn't like anyone. He just likes how they play, obviously. Was there anything else you thought about Gardic this game apart from the vision game that you thought was pretty impressive as a 5?
The Undying Shadow Shaman combination is actually genius, because the Flash Golem amplifies the damage the target takes, so they could take Roshan even faster. At one point it was just 2 supports alone taking the Rosh. You didn't really think about it when you pick Undying, you're not exactly thinking about the Rosh aspect, but it really amplifies the Rosh.
Okay, well, with that little praise to Gardic, we have to go to his laning partner, Yuma, who has also got a lot of praise this series, and that's why we got him here for an exclusive interview. So let's go talk to Yuma for a bit. Nope. Can we go to a small break, please? I gotta be able to help out Yuma so he can connect his mic. Yeah. I love that. It's such a different experience doing winners interviews. They always say, "Hopefully, I see you again." It's such a positive last note. But Yuma, he seems to be really coming into his own with the team.
We can't hear you.
Sorry, Ellis, you're saying?
No, I'm good.
Oh, okay. Sorry. My bad. I was Yuma, really young talent. He was playing DPC like a year ago or so. Now he's made into Hokori. He was playing Div 2 as well. Now he's in Div 1, considered a pretty wide talent, and even heard it. He learned CK 3 days ago. I know that you guys are all amazing at Dota, and like it doesn't seem like that big a deal maybe to you guys, but to a scrub like myself, I don't understand how you can play at such a high level after practicing 10 games. I don't know. That seems crazy to me. I know CK might not be the hardest, but that's very impressive to me every single time. Right? At least someone can someone agree with the scrub?
Oops, that's some balls indeed. Like you can feel like you're understanding the hero or like playing it well even, but to have the confidence to in 3 days just to pick it is nice.
Yeah. Is there any other player, by the way? I want to ask you guys because you guys have been pretty big hype on Hokori. Any other player you guys would like to hear from particularly that you've been really interested in?
I would say Gardic and Vitaly.
Yeah, Vitaly is a very shy guy.
I don't even think I've ever seen him talk. Like I don't think I've ever seen his face.
I think you're right. I don't know what he looks like at all. Now that I'm trying to picture it, I would have to check the DPC. But yeah, we'll try to get them, guys. As you guys know, we do have some Spanish translation. Yuma comes on because English stream they always try to do us a favor and it's easier. But we are willing to obviously have any other player. And that concludes the day for today. So before we go, I would like to have some closing nice thoughts from you guys. I always like to close on one positive thing. So Lelis, something that you liked a lot about Hokori today in the whole best of 3.
I liked how they scrapped the stuff they did in first game and second game for the third game. They just did with a different opener, so it was probably something that was pre-planned. I thought that was good. I thought they had a plan and they stuck to it. It was what they beat Beast Coast with, the Tide. So yeah, I thought that was pretty good.
Duster?
Yeah, I just like how easy Yuma adapted to our scene. Honestly, such a wholesome guy, and it's easy to cheer for him. And easy to play with him, play against him. Like, great guy, and you gotta like Hokori. Just a bunch of great dudes playing Dota, and they're very creative. Like, they make these cool shaman and dying strats that, when you think about it, is just genius. So.
Yeah. With that, yeah, I think Dustin summarized it pretty well. Hokori is the newest org-ish to SA Dota, at least the newest org that wasn't there 3 years before and then left Dota and then came back in again. And they are an org that essentially encompass what Dota means to people. They are small timers. They're hustling all day. They have a small group of people. I think their whole staff is like 5 people in total or so, between social media manager and everything. And they put up some work that is even better than some of the top orgs. They like try to do presentation videos and try to make sure that everyone has their, the support. They try to help the players as well with the proper bootcamp analysts, coaches, etc. So root for Hokori if you want to root for Dota 2, because they're the true essence of grassroots esports, and that's the true essence of SA at the end of the day. It's grassroots esports through and through, and it's the essence of Dota. That's why it's such a popular game in Peru. If you want to keep enjoying this kind of Dota, I recommend you follow this channel and you watch us every week on Thursday, on Friday, and on Sunday when we're online here for Div 1. And of course, we also have Div 2 matches scattered through the week. In fact, we have a Div 2 match tomorrow. So if you guys want to check that out, I do recommend you follow Epulze Gaming, and that way you won't miss out on any single SA match. We hope you enjoyed the broadcast today. We hope you enjoyed the games, and we'll see you next week on Thursday for some more Div 1 Dota. Until next time, guys.
All right.